Now that you're done with the Gospels, you're about to head into a very unique book called Acts, or sometimes called the Acts of the Apostles or the Acts of the Holy Spirit. This traces the 30 to 32 years of the birth of the church after the death and resurrection of Jesus. Written by the same person who wrote Luke, and is kind of telling the second story of it. So what we're going to see here is the birth of the church and the expansion of gospel mission. One thing to note as you're reading through the book of Acts is that prior to Acts 15, pretty much not the only place mentioned, but the center of ministry in the Christian church at that time is Jerusalem. That's where things, started off in Acts chapter 2, where things left off at the end of the Gospels. So it makes sense that that would be the center of the church at that point in time. You'll also see that Jewish believers, Jews who became Christians, are the center population of the first chapters of the book of Acts. Again, not the only ones, but kind of the central figures of it. In Acts chapter 15, the early church comes together to make a decision. It's often called the Jerusalem Council, and they're trying to figure out and decide, can people who did not grow up Jewish become Christians? Can Gentiles get saved? They come to the conclusion that yes, they can. Now, I'm not of Jewish descent, so this is of great relief to me because I would need that to be able to make sure that I'm saved, which I think is the same for many of you. We also see a shift taking place in this moment. The Jerusalem is no longer the center. In fact, there is no single geographic center. I would propose that the center of the book of Christianity in the book of Acts, after Acts 15, is in fact mission. It's not located in a city or a place. It's about going out and sharing the gospel. And Jewish Christians no longer become the central character. In fact, we see an incredible rise in the number of Gentiles who are also saved. And again, my summation would be that the central population of the second half of the book of Acts is simply Christians of both Jewish and Gentile descent. And I would see that most of the time we talk about the Apostle Paul as kind of the central character of the back half. I would actually say that it's not just Paul, but the Holy Spirit moving through Paul and directing this mission. So again, this covers about 30 years. I would encourage you to think about the location, geography. If you're using a Bible with maps, this is a great time to dig into the back of the book and use the maps and see the expansion of the church after the resurrection of Jesus.